Well, hello, good morning, 12th and 12D. We are going to take up on the face of it. You see, a brief summary of what we have covered so far. You see, Mr. Lamb is an old man. One of his legs has been blown off in the war, and so he has got a tin leg. He has got a garden, and he has got a very positive attitude towards life. He enjoys life to the maximum. He is lonely, all alone. He has no family. But still he mixes up with children and mixes up with them, and he sits, reads book, watches things around him, takes interest in life. And on the other hand, we have a boy of 14 years of age called Derek. He is very withdrawn from the world. That is, he doesn't want to mix up from anybody, and very defiant. That is, he actually doesn't want to obey the accepted norms of the society. Now, what happens just by chance, thinking that it was an empty place, Derry enters Lamb's garden. He climbs the wall and comes in. Later on, uh, as he is coming close through the grass, Mr. Lamb notices him and begins talking to him. Initially, Derry is panicked and he says that he wants to go away. He didn't know that there was anybody here, otherwise, he would not have come. But Mr. Lamb clearly says that if he wants, he can go, but not on his account. Uh, Derry then, he suffers from inferiority complex. People consider him poor, bechara. And uh, Derry thinks that people are afraid of him and they want to run away from him because he has half of his face burnt with acid. He tells Mr. Lamb that his face would never change, even if he is old. But Mr. Lamb first makes him realize or accept his disability by saying that uh, his face will not change, no doubt, but then he has not, I mean, the whole of him is not ugly. And Derry agrees to this. And then he gives a positive example. He asks Derry to look at us in a certain direction and asks him what does he notice there. Derry says weeds, and Mr. Lamb says that he calls it a weed garden. There is no difference between a flower and a weed garden. It's your attitude, how you look at things. And Derry then refers to a fact that um, people say that he would have been worse off. He may have been blinded, or he may have to live in a wheelchair throughout his life. Lamb says that it's correct, and he should accept it. Uh, you know, and then you know, there he takes pity on himself, and he refers to the story of a woman whom he once heard whispering that the talking about his face. She said that's a terrible thing. That's a thing only a mother can kiss. And Derry says that when he looks at himself in the mirror, he too is afraid of himself. Now, Lamb gradually convinces him that he if he wants, if I mean, he keeps saying that his face would never change, but Mr. Lamb says that of course it would not change, but the world has a whole face, and the world is there to be looked at. And um, about that incident, the incident of the woman who called his face a terrible thing. Mr. Lamb says that maybe it was not meant as such, just a thing said between them. होता है ऐसा, लोग बात करते हैं, उनका मकसद किसी को दुख पहुंचाना नहीं होता. So maybe that was the case. Uh, but Derry, you know, um, Mr. Lamb even says that, um, asks him that whether he believes everything, whatever he hears, and he says no. There he says he liked to hear the sound of rain falling on the roof. And Mr. Lamb says that, um, at least, you know, he hears, so um, he has some positivity within him, and he says that his burnt face will not harm him as much as uh, um, his attitude would do. So gradually, this way, Mr. Lamb keeps talking, and you see, uh, Derry begins saying that Lamb says peculiar things, he asks peculiar things, and he asks questions that he doesn't understand. Lamb says that he wants to talk, he wants to have company, and that Derry doesn't need to answer the question, uh, and even says that he doesn't need to stop here if he wants. The gate's always open. He tells him a story about a man how he was afraid that, a vehicle may run him over, or a man may um, breathe deadly germs onto him, or a donkey might kick him, or he may slip on a banana skin and fall, and people will laugh, or lightning may strike him, or he might love a girl who would deceive him, and so on. So what he did that he went in a room and locked himself up. Derry asks what happened then. Did he stay there forever? And Lamb says for a while. Then what? Derry asked. A picture fell from the wall onto his head and killed him. Derry laughs a lot. So we have covered up to this point. Um, Now we will see whether this conversation changes Delhi's attitude or not. For further details, of course, you can read the play yourself, and if you face any difficulty, um, let me know. And from this, we'll be doing in detail. So let's see. Derry. But you still say peculiar things. Lamb. Peculiar to some. What do you do all day? Lamb. Sit in the sun, read book. Ah, you thought it was an empty house, but inside it's full. Books and other things. Full. But there aren't any curtains at the windows, Mr. Lamb says. I'm not fond of curtains. Shutting things out, shutting things in. I like the light and the darkness and the window open to hear the wind. Yes, I like that. When it's raining, I like to hear it on the roof, Mr. Lamb. So, you have not lost, are you? That is, you are not completely lost. At least your ears are sensitive. You take interest in things, not altogether. You do hear things. You listen. They talk about me downstairs when I am not there. You see what they say. What will we, what will he ever do? What's going to happen to him when we are gone? However will he get on in this world? Looking like that with that on his face. That's what they say. Uh, so, you know, ये एक एटीट्यूड होता है सोसाइटी में. देखिए, जो लोग अनएजुकेटेड होते हैं वो डिसेबल्स को बेचारा समझते हैं. वो भी समझते हैं कि ये कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता। और जो एजुकेटेड होते हैं उन्हें लगता है कि ये सब कुछ कर सकते हैं। इवन एक विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड पर्सन जो है वो उनके हिसाब से शूटिंग में गोल्ड मेडल भी जीत सकता है। मतलब वो ये समझते हैं कि उन्हें डिसेबल्ड्स को किसी भी किस्म की हेल्प की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ये दो एक्सट्रीम्स हैं, इनके बीच का जो एटीट्यूड है वो सही है डिसेबल्ड्स की तरफ। So people take pity on him. That's why his thinking has um, turned negative. Now, Mr. Lamb responds. He says, "Lord, boy, you've got two arms, two legs, and eyes and ears, and you've got a tongue and a brain, and you'll get on the way you want, like all the rest. And if you chose and set your mind on it, you could get on better than all the rest. To set your mind on something is to be determined." So he says that only half of his face is burnt, otherwise, the rest of his body is okay. He has got legs, he's got ears, eyes, brain, everything. So if he is determined, he can do even better than others. Derry, how? Same as I do. Um, do you have any friends? Hundreds. But you live here yourself in this house. It's a pretty big house too. Friends everywhere. People coming. Everybody knows me. The gates open. They come and sit here and in front of the fire in winter. Kids come for the apples and, and pears and for toffee. I make toffee with honey. Anybody comes, so have you. So you see how he interacts with everyone and takes life positively. Derry. But I'm not a friend. Look at the attitude here. Certainly you are. So far as I'm concerned, what have you done to make me think you are not? That is, you haven't done anything to show that you are not a friend. Derry. You don't know me. You don't know where I come from or even what my name is. Now look at Lamb's reply. Why should that signify? Do I have to write all your particulars down and put them in a filing box before you can be a friend? A filing box is a box in which papers are stored, a kind of a file. So, Derry, I suppose not. No, you could tell me your name if you chose, and not if you don't. Well, look, Mr. Lamb knows how to generate positive thinking in him. So he even doesn't force him to tell him his name. He himself, you know, volunteers and says, Derry, only it's Derek. So he tells him his name, but I hate it. Derry, if I'm your friend, you don't have to be mine. I choose it. Lamb, certainly. I might never come here again, and you might never see me again, and then I couldn't still be a friend. Lamb, why not? How could I? You pass people in the street and you might even speak to them, but you never see them again. It doesn't mean they are your friends. Look at the reply, it's very interesting. It doesn't mean they are enemies either. All right, they are not friends, but they can't be considered enemies either. Okay, Derry, no, they are not. Just nothing. People, that's all. Lamb, people are never just nothing. Never. Derry, there are some people I hate. Now see Lamb's response. That would do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burnt your face. Only? That is, Derry says, For you, it's not a matter of importance. Now, Lamb, in fact, goes on explaining and says, like a bomb, like a bomb only blew up my leg. There's worse thing can happen. You can burn yourself away inside. Like if you kept thinking negatively, then you can burn your inside. After I'd come home, one person said he would have been better off stopping in there in the hospital. He'd be better off with others like himself. She thinks blind people only ought to be with other blind people and idiot boys with idiot boys and people with no legs altogether. That's right, Lamb. What kind of a world would that be? If all disabled live together, then that will be a horrible world. And Derry says there'd be nobody to stare at you because you weren't like them. So, you think you are just the same with all the other people with burnt faces? Just by what you look like? Ah, everything is different. Everything is the same, but everything is different. So, all the boys like burnt face are not like Derek, nor is Derek like all of them. Derry, how do you make all that? Lamb, waiting, watching, listening, thinking. Now see, I'd like a place like this, a garden. I'd like a house with no curtains. Already Derry's attitude is changing. The gates always open. So Mr. Lamb suggests that gates always open whenever he wants, he can come. But Derry says, but this isn't mine. Everything is yours if you want it. What's mine is anybody's. So Lamb shares everything that he has with others. So I could come here again, even if you were out. I could come here. Certainly, you might find others here, of course. Oh, now that alarms Derry. Well, that needn't stop you. You needn't mind. It it'll stop them. They would mind it. So Derry says that it would stop others. They would mind it. When they saw me here, they look at my face and run. That's what Derry's attitude is. They might, they might not. You'd have to take the risk. So would they. So Lamb says that you'll have to take the risk. Some would run away, some wouldn't. Don't take it seriously. No, you would. He says, I won't take the risk. You will have to. You might have me and lose all your other friends because nobody want to stay near me if they can help it. I have not moved, Mr. Lamb says. No. When I go down the street, the kids shout, Lemmy Lamb, but they uh, still come into the garden, into my house. It's a game. They are not afraid of me. So he says that although kids call him Lemmy Lamb, still they come to him, they sit with him, they enjoy life with him. Uh, and he says it's a game. Why should they be? Because I'm not afraid of them, that is why not. So he says that I'm not afraid of them, that is why they're not afraid of me. Did you get your leg blown off in a war? Certainly, Derry. How will you climb on a ladder and get the crab apples down then? Oh, there's a lot of things I've learned to do. and plenty of time for it. Um, Plenty of time for it. Years. I take it easy. If you feel, if you fell and broke your neck, you could still lie on the grass and die. If you were on your own, I could. So he says that it is possible, Derry. You said I could help you if you want to, but my mother want to know where I am. It's 3 miles home, across the fields. I'm 14, but they still want to know where I am. So he says, indicating that perhaps his mother would not let him come, and she always wants to know where he has gone. So Mr. Lamb says people worry. They say that because she's your mother, so she worries about you. Derry says people fuss. Fuss is to worry about unimportant things. Go back and tell them it's 3 miles. It's a fine evening. You have got legs. That is, you can manage it. Once I got home, they would never let me come back. That's what Derry says. Now, Mr. Lamb, once you got home, you would never let yourself come back. Now, see, Lamb is in fact trying to kind of give him a challenge, you know. Don't know, you don't know what I could do, Lamb. No, only you know that, Derry. If I chose, uh, if you chose, I don't know everything, boy. I can't tell you everything, Derry. They tell me, Lamb. Do you have to agree? That is, whatever others tell you, do you have to agree with that? I don't know what I want. I want something no one else has, no one else has got or ever will have. Something just like, something just mine, like this garden. Uh, I don't know what it is. So already he is, he has begun to like the garden and Mr. Lamb himself. Mr. Lamb, you could find out how. Wait, watching, waiting, watching, listening, sitting here, going there. I'll have to see the bees. Those other people who come here, do they walk, do they talk to you? Ask you things? Some do, some don't. I asked them, I, I asked them, I like to learn. I don't believe in them. I don't think anybody ever comes. You are here all by yourself and miserable, and no one would know if you were alive or dead, and nobody cares. So he says that he doesn't believe Mr. Lamb. Now look at Mr. Lamb's reply. You think what you please. So, he clearly says that you only think what you like to think. You don't go by logic. All right then, tell me some of their names, Mr. Lamb's. What are names? Tom, Dick, and Harry? So for Mr. Lamb, names are not at all important. Getting up, I'm off down to the bees. So he has now gone to attend his bees. I think you are daft, crazy, daft, silly, mad. That's what Derry says, Mr. Lamb. That's a good excuse, Derry. What for? You don't talk sense. Good excuse not to come again, not to come back. And you've got a burned face, and that's other people's excuse. So Mr. Lamb clearly explains that by calling others mad, you try to find an excuse for not coming back, you know. And since you have got a burnt face, so that's other people's excuse not to talk to you. Derry, you are like the others. You like to say things like that. If you don't feel sorry for my face, you are frightened of it. And if you are not frightened, you think I'm ugly as a devil. I am a devil. Don't you? Shouts. So he almost shouts. So this is his attitude. He thinks that people are either are afraid of him or they think that he is ugly, ugly as a devil. But look, quietly he says, first Mr. Lamb does not reply. He has gone to his bees and Derry quietly. Now he speaks quietly. He says, no, you don't. I like it here. Then there is a pause. Derry gets up and shouts. Look what he says. I'm going, but I'll come back. You see? You wait. I can run. I haven't got a tin leg. I'll be back. So the change has already come in Derry because he's determined to come back, you see. In the meantime, Derry runs off and there is silence. The sounds of garden again. And now Mr. Lamb. We are towards the end of scene one. Mr. Lamb to himself. There, you, my dears. That's you, scene two. Ah, you know, we all know. In fact, he's talking to his bees. I'll come back. They never do, though. Not them. Never do come back. The garden noises fade. So, people say that they would come back, but they never come back. Now, here towards the end of scene one, when he attends his bees, when Derry has gone, Mr. Lamb shows the signs of loneliness. Actually, he too suffers from loneliness because he is all alone. He is disabled. He has got a tin leg. But then he takes life positively. He overcomes his loneliness by what he himself says, waiting, watching, listening, reading, taking interest in life, keeping himself busy in his garden with crab apples, and he makes jelly, he makes toffees, he entertains kids, he reads books, he enjoys sun. So he takes interest in all these things. That's how he overcomes his loneliness. It's not that he doesn't feel loneliness. If we are lonely, we will feel it, but we'll have to overcome it. Okay, now we come to scene two. Derry's house. Derry's mother now speaking. You think I don't know about him? You think I haven't heard things? Derry. You shouldn't believe all you hear now. He speaks what he has learned from Mr. Lamb. Now Derry's mother, being told, warned, we've not lived here 3 years, 3 months, but I know what there is to know, and you are not to go back there. Now see Derry's reaction. What are you afraid of? What do you think he is? An old man with a tin leg? And he lives in a huge house without curtains and has a garden? And I want to be there and sit and listen to things. Listen and look. Mother, listen to what? Bees singing, him talking. And what has he got to say to you? Things that matter, things that nobody else has ever said, things I want to think about. Then you stay here and do your thinking. You are best off here. Look, the mother too doesn't try to give him confidence. Now he says, I hate it here. Look at the response of the mother. You can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It's bound to make you feel like bad things and say them. I don't blame you. She means to say that because half of his face is burned, so he has started thinking negatively. So she simply pities him. But look, Derry, it's got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. Look, already he is under the influence of Mr. Lamb. Now, just as Mr. Lamb says that his tin leg is not important, now he says that his burnt face is not important. It's what I think and feel and what I want to see and find out and hear, and I'm going back there. So you see, he says that whatever he thinks, whatever he sees and hears, that's what is more important, and he's determined to go back, only to help him with the crab apples. He wants to help him with the crab apples, only to look at things and listen. But I'm going. Mother, you'll stop here. Oh no, because if I don't go back there, I'll never go anywhere in the world. So that's a do or die situation for him. The door slams, Derry runs off, panting. So he shuts the door with a noise and then runs off, you know. Uh, I want the world, I want it, I want it. So he, is almost shouting, says that he wants the world. The sound of the panting fades. Now, scene three. This is the last scene. Mr. Lamb's garden. The garden sounds are heard, the noises of branch shifting, apples thumping down, the branch shifting again. Mr. Lamb, steady, that's got it, that's it. Now more apples fall. Now see what happens. And again, and that's it. And you see a creak. A creak is a sound that a door sometimes makes when you touch a hut. A crash. A ladder falls back. Mr. Lamb with it. A thump. So Mr. Lamb falls on the ground. A branch swishes back. Swishes back? To swish is to move back in the air, making a soft sound. Then again creaks. Then silence. Derry opens the garden gate, still panting. Derry, I came back. You said I wouldn't, and they said, but, but I came back. I wanted. He stops dead. Silence. Mr. Lamb, Mister, you have. He runs through the grass, stops, and kneels. That is, he realizes that Mr. Lamb has fallen and he is dead. Mr. Lamb, it's all right. You fell? I'm here, Mr. Lamb. It's all right. Silence again. No reply from Mr. Lamb. I came back, Lammy Lamb. I did come back. Derry begins to weep. So you see, Derry returns and he, begins to weep, thinking that Mr. Lamb, the man who's changed him, has finally passed away. So you see, now let's quickly try to answer the questions also. Um Question number one: What is it that draws Derry towards Mr. Lamb in spite of himself? Mr. Lamb, has a positive outlook towards life. He, you know, makes Derry realize that life is to be lived, to be enjoyed, to be accepted, even with disability. A particular disability doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean that we should indulge in negative thinking and become a victim of depression and cut ourselves off from the world. Moreover, he says things which are very different from others. Others really take pity on him and call him poor. Mr. Lamb says that he has got legs, ears, arms, eyes, and that he can, get on better in life if he wanted. He can enjoy life. So he shows him the positive side of life, um, and it is this that basically draws Terry towards Mr. Lamb. You can elaborate on this point. In which section of the play does Mr. Lamb display the signs of loneliness, and how does, um, um, sorry, loneliness and disappointment? What are the ways in which Mr. Lamb tries to overcome these feelings? Well, I told you that it is towards the end of scene one when he goes to attend the bees. Then he displays the signs of loneliness and disappointment. When he says that they never come back, they do say that they will come, but nobody ever comes back. So then he shows his loneliness and disappointment, but then he overcomes it by watching, waiting, listening, reading, taking interest in life, keeping himself busy, enjoying life to the maximum, sharing it with others, and having a positive outlook towards life. So, all these things. Now, look at this. The actual pain or inconvenience caused by a physical impairment is often much less than the sense of alienation felt by um, a person with disabilities. Now, what is the kind of behavior that the person expects from others? Well, it's very true. Um, it's not actually the impairment, the physical, physical impairment that is so painful. What is more painful is the sense of isolation, the sense of alienation that a person develops. And the disabled persons want a balanced attitude from others. That is, they should neither be treated as poor, like bechara, or, you know, at the same time, whatever help they need, they should be given that help, and they should uh, be helped to become self-dependent, self-reliant, and be useful to the society. So they, all in all, they want a positive attitude. The kind of attitude that Mr. Lamb shows towards dairy. You can elaborate on it. Will Derry get back to his old seclusion, or will Mr. Lamb's brief association effect a change in the kind of life he will lead in future? Well, there is enough evidence to prove that Derry's attitude will change. In fact, his attitude has changed. That is why he returned. Came back to help Mr. Lamb, with his crab apples. He disagreed with his mother. He runs away and takes that risk. Comes to the garden, and when he comes to the garden and realizes that Mr. Lamb is dead, he begins to weep. So all this shows that he has already changed. It has brought a change in his attitude towards life. So we can expect that now Mr. Lamb's brief association will definitely bring a change in his life, in his attitude towards life. Well, if you want, you can disagree with it. You can say no because Mr. Lamb is gone, and after some time, because he will get to, face those same people which he was facing earlier on, who were taking pity on him. So perhaps he would again get back to his negative thinking. Whichever point of view you take, you should be able to prove it. As far as I'm concerned, I'll advise you to agree with it and say that yes, he has already changed, and it seems as if that he'll not go back to his negative attitude towards life once again, because he has now learned the value of enjoying life, of positive thinking, and how to take life positively. So, uh, he has already developed this attitude, so he's going to retain it in all probability. Now they say use your imagination to suggest another ending to the above story. Well, you know, the story in this context ends with Mr. Lamb dying, and I think that this is the best end of the story. Mr. Lamb, after having performed his job, that is, after making Derry feel positively towards life, he has now passed away. And that's, I mean, he has shown Derry that that's the way to live and that's the way to die. That is to die bravely while trying to enjoy life rather than, keep sitting in a room and meet a pathetic death. So, you see, this is an apt ending. One way of mm, answering this question could be this. Now, if you have to suggest another end, you can say that Derry comes and um, helps Mr. Lamb, and the two then are together and they enjoy and they become more friendly, and the interaction goes on, and they mix up with other children as well, and maybe they help some other persons also to get out of this attitude of seclusion and negative thinking. That can be another end, but it will not be as powerful, as this one. So once again, it depends on you. Whichever attitude you take, you should be able to prove it. So that's the end of the play then. And look, we have finished this one. We have finished our course then. The whole course is complete. If you want to, if now you want to discuss your problems, queries related to anything, the text that we have done, the poems, and then the writing section as well, you can keep on interacting me with WhatsApp. No more need now to have regular classes. If you wish to interact with me in a meeting, let me know. I'll either arrange it in the morning or, I mean, in the evening, like at 3 or 4 or something of that sort, and we can interact in a meeting if you wish. Um, but the best way would be to post me your questions and queries and comments, etc., in the form of voice notes on WhatsApp, and within 24 hours, you will get the reply. Now, as far as the test is concerned, class test, it's not necessary. I think it's the mock test sort of exercise, so that you don't find it difficult in the second unit test. Anyway, um, but if before the second unit test, if you want to discuss the course that we have covered so that you may attempt it easily, interact with me on WhatsApp, and I've already suggested timings. Um, I would repeat that: 3:30 to 4:30 on Wednesday, or 1 o'clock on Thursday. If 1 o'clock on Thursday is okay for both F and D, then it's fine. Or if 3:30 to 4:30, we can make a bit of a change. If we wish, we can even, keep it in the evening, a little later, like from 6 to 7. So These are suggestions. Um, give your input. It's just a matter of formality, So I'll be, you know, posting you the link most probably next week and inform you accordingly. In between, tomorrow or day after, you keep sending me your suggestions, and hopefully um, I'll be able to send you papers in proper format. That is, as you're likely to get in exams, either on Google Forms or on Microsoft Forms. Um, um, that procedure I have to learn a bit. We will take it as, we have covered the poems now. Now the next part would be based on Rat Trap and Indigo. So that's how we'll um, proceed in future. So I hope things are clear now. I will now just wait for your responses and see how I can manage it. All right then. Thank you very much.